So, talking about defenses and somebody very familiar with it, four-time Pro Bowler, and has spent years with the Houston Oilers and the Tennessee Titans, and also spending a brief time with the Philadelphia Eagles, playing alongside with Brian Dawkins. Proud to bring up onto the show here Blaine Bishop, former NFL safety, joins us here on the program. I got to tell you, though, Blaine, I mean, for someone that familiarized with defenses, and I think with the Giants, I just don't understand it. Like, you got to have a perfect balance. I love the front seven, but if that offense doesn't quite get going, it's hard to really rely on an offense that's not putting up points like they should. And you got to get after the quarterback. You got to put up pressures. But if your defense is out there for an X amount of time, it's just really, really hard to like even put any points up for that matter.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jake. What happens is, you only have so many plays in your game, so you don't want your defense or vice versa, your offense playing 80 plays, and then the offense plays 40 plays. I remember that happened on occasion, and we're halfway through, and then the offensive guys are all leaving. I mean, we're watching the film to get great. I'm like, hey man, where y'all going? Hey, we're done watching film. Like it was a fun, like what? Like, oh man, we only halfway through. So eventually, the accumulation of that over a season, your defense is going to wear out if it's that side of the ball that's not, it's playing a lot of the plays, and it wears on the guys, and eventually, hey man, shoot, they got to hold their weight because we can't control it, or they're on the other side too. It works both ways. So there's going to be some games where early on in the season, the first 8 weeks, where it's going to look a little unbalanced depending on what side of the ball you're very strong at. As far as your personnel with the different players. So yeah, the Titans are kind of dealing with the same thing, probably a little bit worse, where they have no elite pass rushers on the Tennessee Titans, not one.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't have, we got Snead, who's coming off an injury. He's still not up to that status at cornerback. And then offensively, we just have really Cam Ward. So
Yeah.
it is like watching paint dry sometimes. So I I sympathize for you, but I think right now the Titans got to be in a tough spot and trying to develop their quarterback yet, not having the pieces, whether it's weaponry or already the offensive line is having trouble with injuries, and one guy more junior that they signed for the Steelers started the last 4 years, mid-round pick. Is not playing up to the big contract. So that's
Yeah.
a whole nother ball of wax there. So yeah, man, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. I know we're both 0-3. You were talking about the Giants, but man, I don't know. I think the Giants probably would bring it to the Titans. It's not looking good.
And it's interesting because I mean, watching the Titans, I mean, I've seen this team with its highs and lows. You certainly playing along with a lot of different teams as well in your current, in your playing career. And I just look at this like the Titans right now are pretty much in rebuild mode. There's no question.
Yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
I just look at this where, Cam Ward, and I was saying this at the beginning. I remember watching Cam Ward being up in Washington State, and he's highly talented, can be mobile, and he's got a very good arm in the pocket. But when he came out and said, I'm gonna go into the draft, I was like, okay, look, Cam, you're probably gonna be a day 3 quarterback, just being honest with you with where things were going. I was happy when he took another year in college because it gave him time to develop. It gave him time to really kind of work out those kinks. Now he's the number 1 overall pick and comes to Tennessee. And it's unfortunate with some of the things that haven't worked out. I mean, Will Levis, a shoulder surgery, things were just not quite working. But I look at Cam Ward, Blaine, and his mobility, arm accuracy. If you could get this kid some help, maybe there's a chance there's going to be a resurgence at some point here for the Titans in the next couple of years. What do you make of Cam Ward? And I could safely say he is the future of this franchise. You just got to be able to give him some helping pieces.
Yeah, and they're developing. They got two young receivers who are getting up to speed. Now that the regular season has started, so they're starting to show glimpses. DK and Alec Manor from Stanford, even though they were mid-round picks, they're contributing a lot on special teams and at receiver, and they seem to have rhythm and flow with Cam Ward. Cam Ward is definitely a dude. Regardless if he has to have a new coach next year, new offensive coordinator, whatever it may be, it's his leadership skills that stand out. His leadership skills as well as his accuracy. His mobility, I think, is overrated as far as how athletic he is. I think he has enough mobility to buy time in the pocket and to get outside the pocket if he needs to. He is not a runner. I don't know if he's even as much of a runner in the NFL as even
Mhm.
Mahomes, but he has some escapability. He has a great feel for the pocket presence. He's starting to show signs a little bit now of drifting to the left a little bit. I think it's because all the pressure he's feeling all the time, and then like in college, you don't hardly feel pressure because there's not a lot of guys around you. Well, in the pros, there's guys around you all the time, and he's starting to kind of start drifting because he's gotten sacked the most in the NFL so far. I think it's around 11 or 12 or so. But other than that, he has thrown some spectacular throws. Some that you say, no, 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 and they go, I mean, like
Yeah.
do one all the way from the other side over there. He's like, oh my gosh, only some of those Hall of Fame yellow jacket guys throwing those kind of passes. And so he definitely shows you glimpses of he's going to be special. It's just going to take time. They are rebuilding, as you mentioned, and it's just hard to be patient. And hopefully, you don't ruin the quarterback with the offensive line issues. I think that'll always be a topic if it does become an issue. Do you get your line and pieces first because the Titans had the number one pick, or do you take that franchise quarterback, and then you could eventually ruin him with not all the pieces in place? So that'll always be a form of discussion of Cam Ward and what he will become, whether it's with the Titans or somebody else. But I think he has all the tools at worst case scenario, based off what I've seen in regular season, not off season, preseason, an average starting quarterback. That's it. That's the low bar. Like I think that's easy. I think he's already there. He's a cool customer, man, and it's man. I'm just he's old school playing in the modern era. That's what I appreciate about him, and I'll say that because one time they asked him a question because he gets up there at 4:30 all the time, and he goes, "Oh man, 4:30. I wake up to 4:30 to get over to do something that I love, and it's something I enjoy. My dad had to get up at 4:30, and he hated his job. This is easy.
Mhm.
Who says that in the modern era of an athlete that's 24 years old? Like nobody really says that. And
Yeah.
so that once he did that, he had me hooked. I was like, okay, let me pay attention to this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's old school, old soul, with the work ethic of a zero star, which is what he was, and he has all the makings to me to be something really special. As long as they make sure they put the pieces around him, they definitely got them one.
It's funny because, with old school mentality, yeah, I mean, I'm 30 years old, and like usually when it comes to a lot of these youngsters, like the thing I always say is like with generations, the older generation, the one thing of it is like you want to just like when you got a young kid that you're trying to build, develop, and structurize to build consistency, you just want to be able to put your arms around him and guide him and really, work that. And Cam Ward, what's great about it, like he has such a fantastic work ethic. In fact, my co-host, who's not here tonight, but he said a lot of great things about it. Like he
See,
wishes,
yeah,
that the Cleveland Browns honestly picked him. But it's hard when you're the number one overall pick. You're going to be pretty much landing with a team that is struggling. They're trying to find a new identity and something new in the franchise. So it's hard, but I still appreciate the fact that like the kid's got a hard work ethic. I think he's got a bright future, and hopefully
mhm,
Tennessee they can really build off that. And as a former defensive player like yourself, and when I looked at it, we mentioned about the defense where the edge it has been kind of struggling, but for whatever reason, it was interesting because I thought last year, I'm not sure if you've seen this too, but there were times where I felt like the defensive front was pretty underrated. And it was guys like Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons, and a couple others up front, where I know these guys can play physical. They're not quite out of it. And the offensive woes was what it was going to be, but it was like defensively, I felt like this team could get physical. So when you look at it, what are kind of the things you evaluate that they need to address and to where they can get back into being that brutal, like physical force that they've been in the last few years here in the South Division?
Well, they, as you mentioned, they're rebuilding. So on defense, they have holes a little bit all over the place. But the biggest one is pass rusher. Naturally, they cut Harold Landry, and so he
Yeah.
signed with New England. And then they drafted Femi Odejo from UCLA, who's I'm not going to say is a project, but he's a converted linebacker to defensive end, which they moved in the last 6 or 7 games in college. A specimen, by the way, really good athlete, hard worker, sharp, smart. But you, as you know, that you have to learn how to be a pass rusher. I
Yeah.
mean, it's totally different. And so they have, outside of Jeffrey Simmons, as far as elite, they have Sweat, who's been injured all during training camp and through these first few weeks or so. He's played limitedly, but he D tackles, but you have to have someone who's affecting the passer. And they just don't have that at this point. They're probably going to get it in the draft next year, probably have another high pick. And then I think that'll help out the defense a lot. So they got some solid linebackers, and you got Snead and Hooker at safety. Solid starters in the NFL. So it's a work in progress. I think that's the missing piece on defense, and then on offense, they need a big time playmaker.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley's kind of had some dropsies. Alec Manor and is young, is promising, is kind of turning into their best option to this point. I don't think he's a number one, but he's their best option right now and dependable with not a lot of drops. And then they have Gunnar Helm and Chiga Okonkwo at tight end, so they have some decent play, as well as Pollard, who's been solid since he got here, even last year, but this year as well. So I wish he could get some more carries, but yeah, they are on the right track, and they're not as far as probably most fans or people watching because they just look at the record. But if
Mhm.
they just got a couple of those pieces, a big time receiver and a big time passer, I think it could kind of transform the whole team once you make sure you protect the quarterback.
You
Then
know,
I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting when I seen Brian Callahan take this job, and you got a chance to really, kind of see, kind of get a feel for what he brings up to the table. Because I mean, watching him in Cincinnati as an offensive coordinator, I felt like, okay, he's around an offensive-minded guy in Zach Taylor. So I feel like, with Tennessee, they could get the offense getting to where they need to be. Where I mean, I remember this with Mike Vrabel. It was down in the trenches, ground and pound, and then you sprinkle up some good plays, and you were physical one-on-ones,
Yeah.
especially
Uh-huh.
with AJ Brown.
Yeah.
So when you get a chance to like see the culture that Brian Callahan is in, like what are some of the things that pop up to you with the head coach? Because I'm just like, okay, he's got a new quarterback. It's gonna take some time to get this reshaped. Um, are there some things you point out that he tends to kind of do that is fixable, or is there kind of something that may be a bit of a struggle in some of his coaching areas? Because to me, I'd love to see successes in head coaches, no doubt. But
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to see success. I mean, what a great human being. I think they definitely got that side of it right. But he's had some snafus in some games. You just kind of it puzzles you. One of them in the first game against the Broncos there at home. I think it was the Broncos, or was it
yep.
the second game? Yeah, he should have challenged Elikai Manor, caught a pass and got his elbow in, and
Mhm.
it kind of transformed the whole game and maybe gave him a shot at winning the game, to be honest. So whatever game it was, he didn't challenge it. And then this last game was a huge no in my opinion from a head coach, and that is the Colts called timeout, then he called timeout, then he got a delay a game. So then the kicker now is kicking a 60-something yard field goal,
Mm.
and he still went for the field goal. And naturally, the kicker, since he iced his own kicker, missed.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, that happened this last game, and it really I think affected a lot of the fans. And naturally, he's like 3 and I don't know 16 or 17, something, so many losses. I think he has I saw a stat said he had the lowest winning percentage in NFL history as a head coach. I think he has potential. I think his play calling is stagnant. When I say that, I mean it doesn't have any rhyme or reason. When you're calling plays, you want to set up plays for the next play or for the next quarter. So then now you can play off that play to another play. And I don't know, it just my feel. I feel like there's two different people calling plays. Now, that's not the case, but I feel like it is. And I don't know sometimes if that's because of the offensive line issues or an injury or because of certain guys not playing well. So he's trying to just kind of do it all. And by the way, being a head coach and a play caller, he was never a play caller there with the Bengals. He was
Yeah.
only the placeholder. Now, you can be around these people all the time, but until you go through the fire of the play calling, do you really know if they're going to be real good play callers? Now, some of them transition
Right.
easier than others, naturally, but when you're trying to be a play caller and the head coach, sometimes it becomes a little bit of issue. So I probably this year would have hired a coordinator, but I just think he didn't think about that because he always wanted to be a play caller because he never really got to do it until last year. And then it was Will Levis and Mason Rudolph, and it was just a lot of stuff going on. One thing I see, though, I feel like he is a system quarterback. And I
Mhm.
don't like system quarterback. And when I say that is last year when Will Levis and Mason Rudolph get into game, different players, different styles, the results were the actual same. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's happening here. Like we don't have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase as well as Higgins. So yeah, those are the elite of the elite in this league. The
Mhm.
likelihood of you getting players like that is highly unlikely. Even Cam Ward at his highest of heights won't be as good as Joe Burrow. It's
Yeah.
just not going to happen. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I think he needs to make some adjustments on how he game plans and lead into player strengths of who they are. I think that's what, not to bring him up, but Vrabel, he may be limited on offense and was just want to be physical and run Derrick Henry. But one thing he did with Will Levis is we're going to play action pass and we're going to go downtown because you got a big arm.
Mhm.
So lean into what the strengths of your players are, not your actual system. Put
Right.
your system around the skill sets of the actual players. So I think he's gradually doing that. But naturally, when you're 0-3, you just want it to be sooner than later. Um, so he's learned a lot. I think he's feeling a lot of pressure and heat at this point in time. But it'll be interesting because we have a 3-game road trip. Arizona, where you play the Texans, Arizona, then Vegas, I think, or some order of that, all on the road.
Mhm.
And we're already 0-3. So if you go 0-6, that's gonna be pretty tough, I think, to overcome. And then you come back home and play who? New England with Mike Vrabel.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's going to be a tough stretch. So it'll be interesting to see how much the team continues to improve because I think that's what you're looking for. Not only the team, but also Cam Ward, and because
Yeah.
you want to see the coaching. They got you would know Bones Falso as the special team coach. He's done an exceptional job. That's kind of solidified. He had hired someone last year that had no experience as a special team coach in the National Football League, and naturally they didn't do so well. Good, friend of his, but that's how coaching is. You hire your friends or people you associate with, and Fossil is legit. So they have done really well there. But defensively and offensively, it's up and down like a roller coaster, even throughout games. Like they're
Yeah.
supposed to be able to stop the run. They can't even stop the run now.
Yeah, it is interesting, but yeah, I have seen a change in the special teams, which is a bit, it's a step. But yeah, I mean, I would feel the same exact way. If it's an 0-6 stretch after these next 3 road games, that's not gonna really fly well for a lot of Titans fans that really want to see, the progress. But it does happen. I mean, that's the nature of being a coach in the NFL. Is this is where you really show what your true identity is. And if you are that coach with the it factor, because that's going to be important, especially when you're coaching these grown men that are out there on the field of battle. And you
Mhm.
got to be able to win those games in every single spurt of the snap, like just the play, and then get to the end of the quarter. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it is going to be
He hit
interesting
on
for
something though.
sure.
I think that's where he's coming up short. They
Yeah.
have we've asked him multiple times. They have no identity. I think he wants identity is we're going to throw it around the yard and, we're going to score points. Well, they
Yeah.
averaged 15 points or so, or it was less than 18 last year. And right now they're at, 16. So
Mhm.
they're not that team. So the identity and then having some form of it factor. I just think he doesn't have that kind of weight with him.
Yeah,
Not
I
at this
agree.
point. We've gone in 20 games deep now. So you pretty much sure it's like watching a player. You pretty much sure, like already I know Cam Ward is a dude after 3
Yeah.
games, right? You
Yeah.
even though his passer percentage is at 50, if you watch the game, you wouldn't have felt like that's what happened. Like,
Yeah.
he those are smart plays. He took a sack. He threw it out of bounds. Maybe he should have got rid of the ball sooner. He was trying to make a play and got sacked. Okay, well, that's a learning lesson, at least in your
Mhm.
rookie year.
Right.
So everything that he's done, even though it's not being spectacular, you see like, whoa, this guy's got something. He's special. So I think right now that has not happened with head coach Callahan. It's going to be a learning process, but at this point in time, I think he needs to speed up the learning process of game management in games because if not, that's kind of the no. I think from the organization, it'll be interesting to see because I wish him well because he's a great dude, man.
Yeah.
Um, and he says all the right things. I don't know, just on game day, it just never pans out where I feel like we're going to be able to score a lot of points, and it
Yeah.
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no, still waiting for it, but yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on it. I do want to ask this question for you, and just as a final, and so I got a chance to watch the documentary that involved and you played with him in the past was the late Steve McNair. And I'm not going to go
Oh,
deep into detail, um, but you got a chance to experience, an atmosphere and a culture change the minute that the Titans now they came into fruition, and it
mhm.
took the league by storm. Nobody was even expecting that. And so you had Jeff Fisher, who defensive minded, the guy was all about physicality, and that's what built, Tennessee. You get a chance to play around, Javon Curse and multiple other really good defensive players, and you make a Super Bowl appearance, which was unheard of for many teams like that. Um, from your experience, and to share with our audience what that at that time, like what that was like, because that had to have been nerve wracking for one. But when you guys started getting on that hot streak and just like, look, we're playing ball, we're feeling good, and we're giving a statement to our fan base like, hey, we're actually stamping on the NFL like we are here. Like we're putting together this culture. Like, what was that like in that year? Because I was like the excitement, intensity, and then you get into the Super Bowl and it's like,
Yeah.
damn, like that's insane.
Yeah, yeah, that's really weird that you say that because of even the next year, the team was better because we knew we were really good then. But that first year in '99, I think a lot of things happened there. We had finally transformed from Tennessee Oilers to the Tennessee Titans. We had our own stadium, new uniforms, and that was the first year of Javon Curse, who knew what he was going to turn into because nobody knew that was going to happen. There on the defense, me being the captain of the defense, and McNair and Eddie on offense. So once 2 or 3 games in, he started impacting games and they had to start doubling it made everybody's job so much easier on the defense, and then he was causing havoc and turnovers and man all kind of things on defense, so it kind of elevated our whole entire defense and really our team at that time. We had the pieces on the offensive side and the physicality, and we wanted to be aggressive nature blitzing, and under Greg Williams as our defensive coordinator, and yeah, it worked out well. I don't think we thought we were going to be like that. I think we thought we were going to be good, but we had been 8-8 or middle of the road for 3 years in a row with all the transition of moving and playing at Vanderbilt, then Memphis, and then finally in our stadium. And everybody was super excited, and we just kind of went on a run. I think probably after we beat the Rams, I think early in this, it was, I don't know, maybe week 6 at
Mhm.
home. I think that's when people start realizing, hey, man, this team is for real. We got them on grass. Naturally, in Tennessee, it was on grass. So we were pretty confident as the season went along that we were really good. And then we beat the Jaguars, who were really good that year. Only lost 2 games, and those 2 games were to us, and their third game was to us. If not, they would have been undefeated in the AFC Championship. So, and then when you have Music City Miracle happen, when stuff like that happens in a game against Buffalo in the first round of the playoffs or second round, I thought we were a team of destiny. Really, at that point, I thought we were going to win everything. After that, then we beat the Colts and Peyton Manning and all their Hall of Fame players, and then it went on to the AFC Championship and beating Jacksonville in Jacksonville, and then going to Super Bowl. So playing the greatest show on turf, coming up a little bit short. So yeah, that kind of the confidence level of our team was really, really on a high level that point in time, even going into the next season. And then we lost in the second round to the Ravens, who we had number one defense in some categories as well as they did. Their style was a little bit different than ours as far as they did a lot of talking, where we just put on our hard hats and let our work do the talking. And so yeah, we came up a little bit miffed on that, giving up only 120 or 30 yards the entire game. And then because that was the better team as far as the Titans teams, that team there was the best team, even though we didn't even make it to the Super Bowl.
It's such a story, because it's like, because I love, listening to a lot of these stories from former players and getting the chance to reminisce and really experience that, because it's like, I love being behind the wheel as the driver in the seat, and getting the chance to man, what that's like, and the challenges, the adversity. But then it's like the magic momentum is like, it's unexplainable, man. It's insane. But
and then to think I was in a Super Bowl, everybody's dream as a boy was to play in a Super Bowl, thinking that would never really happen. And I really appreciate, because I played with I called him the living legend, Bruce Matthews, who I think played 19 or 20 years or so, and that was his only Super Bowl he ever got to play in. And that shows you how precious that time and moment, and you think you're going to get back and you never get back. So I was really sad for him, more so than anything else. You have such a spectacular career and one of the best linemen in NFL history, and you get one shot. And so yeah, you just never know, man. Timing, get on a run at the right time, man, can go a long way. As you can see with the Giants, who was just average during the regular season through their times with Eli, and then they got hot at the right time, and then boom, he pulled the trigger.
Yeah, it's funny. It can happen for any team, and that's why the NFL is the way that it is. I mean, you'll have shockers, surprises, but I think that's just what makes the game just much more interesting every single year. But yeah, a hell of a career from Bruce Matthews. I mean, loved watching him play, and yeah, to have the opportunity, it falls short, but you can stamp on it like we finally made it here. Like we had a great momentum, a fun team, and a team that just was unexpected to get there, but it was fun either way. But Blaine,
I wanted to say revision may be history, and I'm gonna say this just so we can look back on and see how close I am. They are building the Titans a new stadium. It'll open in 2027. What happened in 1999 when we got a new stadium? We went to the Super Bowl.
Hey, there you go.
This time they're gonna win it. They're gonna win it.
That 2 and 2 connect right from there. I love it, man. Blaine, absolutely appreciate you. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here up onto the show, man. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of the week, man. And look, we'll see what happens up with the Titans, but I'm gonna love watching the future of Cam Ward for the next few years, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself and enjoy the rest of the week, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Peace.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a great, it's cool to have an opportunity like that. And I love stories like that. It's fun, it's energetic, and you just can't get enough of it. Got a good show here. Really loved the interview. Very down to earth, and just, I remember watching the documentary and just the momentum itself, and just the way that the team's chemistry and morale, it was just unexplainable. Couldn't even explain it to you myself, but he explained it the best way, man.